Have you ever noticed how some people seem to carry unshakable confidence, while others hesitate at every step? It's not because they were born better or were lucky. It's because they've learned to act like they're the best. And this simple trick changes everything. It may sound counterintuitive, but fake it until you believe it is one of the most powerful secrets to overcoming barriers and achieving success. And you want to know? This is not an empty idea. It's a strategy advocated by big names like Tracy, who transformed the lives of millions with his teachings. You might be thinking, but doesn't this seem forced? The answer is, it depends on how you look at it. Acting as if you are the best does not mean being arrogant, but adopting a posture of self-confidence that inspires not only you, but everyone around you. Think about it. How many opportunities have you missed because you thought you weren't ready? How many times have you let doubt paralyze you? This behavior could be costing you much more than you imagine. And that is exactly what we are going to reverse here. Imagine walking into a room to negotiate, lead, or even socialize, feeling like the most prepared person. What would it be like if you could transform insecurity into presence? Best of all, this doesn't require a special gift, just the right mindset and practical actions that anyone can learn and apply. In this content, we'll explore the steps it takes to adopt this attitude, how it transforms your life, and why people like Tracy believe this is the true starting point for success. If you've ever felt like you could be more, but something always stops you, this is the time to change the game. But be careful. This is not an ordinary text. It's an invitation to challenge your own limits and discover what you're really capable of achieving. Curious? So keep reading, because the best is yet to come. Have you ever stopped to think about how some people always seem to be on the right path, as if they have discovered a special secret? It's not magic nor luck. It's a mindset. Adopting a success mindset means acting as if you're already the best at something, even if you're still at the beginning of the journey. This is not arrogance, it's strategy. When you act confident, you send a powerful signal, both to yourself and the world. Tracy has always emphasized that confidence creates a domino effect, a force that elevates your posture, your speech, and even the way others perceive you. Imagine yourself walking into a room as someone who knows what they're doing, even if inside you're a little nervous. This attitude not only impresses, but also begins to transform what you believe is possible. It's curious how the brain is a machine for creating narratives. If you act like you're the best, he starts to believe it. For example, think of an athlete who trains as if he were a world champion before even competing at the highest level. This behavior sets high standards because acting like a winner demands consistency. Just as Tracy suggests in his talks, when you set high standards, your actions tend to align with them. This doesn't mean you'll get it right every time, but you'll get it wrong at a higher level than most people will ever achieve. Adopting this mindset isn't just about posture or appearance. It's about intention. Let's say you're starting a business. Act as if you're already a successful entrepreneur. Invest time in learning about marketing, leadership, and finance. A practical tip is to read books like The Power of Habit by Charles Duhigg to understand how small daily adjustments can create a huge impact. Tracy has always reinforced that success does not come by chance. It is built by the intentional actions you take today. But let's face it, it's not always easy. Doubt creeps in, and that sabotaging thought whispers, "What if I can't do it?" At this point, remember that even the most successful people, from athletes to business people, face this type of questioning. The secret is to act despite fear. A practical example is preparing for an important meeting as if you were already the authority on the subject. Research, organize your ideas, and enter the environment knowing that you did your best. As Tracy often says, preparation is the antidote to fear. Another powerful tip is to incorporate daily visualizations into your routine. When you wake up, take 5 minutes to imagine yourself achieving your goals. See yourself speaking with confidence, dealing with challenges, and achieving extraordinary results. This may seem simple, but it's a technique used by great leaders and elite athletes. By visualizing success, you train your mind to look for opportunities that might previously have gone unnoticed. And don't underestimate the power of your environment in shaping your mindset. Surround yourself with people who believe in success and who encourage you to grow. Joining networking groups or attending talks from experts like Brian Tracy can transform your view of what's possible. Have you ever noticed how an inspiring conversation can change your day? Well, imagine the impact of being constantly exposed to people who think big. However, acting like the best does not mean stopping learning. On the contrary, it is the starting point for transformation. With each step, you discover new challenges and come across weaknesses you didn't even know you had. And this is precisely what leads us to the next point: trust as an agent of transformation. But we'll explore that later. Confidence, that powerful little word, is more than a feeling. It's a transformative force capable of changing your life in ways you might not even imagine. When you act with confidence, even without being sure it will work, it creates a ripple effect that impacts how others see you and, more importantly, how you see yourself. Imagine walking into a room for a job interview. The simple fact that you walk with an upright posture, look the interviewer in the eye, and speak clearly already sends a message. I'm here because I know my worth. Brian Tracy always says that confidence is like a self-fulfilling prophecy. The more you act like you can achieve something, the more it becomes a reality. This impact is even more evident when you begin to see the world as a reflection of the energy you project. You know that person who seems to attract every opportunity? It's no coincidence. It's trust. But don't confuse it with arrogance. It's that kind of calm certainty of someone who believes that hard work combined with a positive mindset generates results. A practical example of this is starting the week with clear goals. Let's say you want to improve your communication. Enroll in a public speaking course or read books like The Art of Public Speaking by Dale Carnegie. The more you invest in yourself, the more reasons you will have to believe in your potential. The most interesting thing is that trust is not just a personal benefit. It shapes how others interact with you. Have you noticed how confident people tend to be heard more in meetings? This happens because they convey security, and security is magnetic. Brian Tracy often explains that by projecting confidence, you're also creating an environment where others feel comfortable trusting you. This is why successful leaders rarely show doubt, even in times of uncertainty. Of course, confidence doesn't come out of nowhere. It is built on small victories. Imagine you want to start speaking in public, but fear paralyzes you. A simple step would be to start in a safe environment, such as presenting something to friends or colleagues. As you gain experience, your confidence grows. And this creates a positive cycle. The more you act with confidence, the more reasons you find to trust yourself. It's like Brian Tracy teaches. Constantly practicing important skills builds the confidence you need to achieve your goals. Another crucial point is to understand that confidence is not the absence of fear, but the courage to act despite it. Think about great entrepreneurs, athletes, or artists. They all faced moments of doubt, but chose to move forward anyway. You can do this too, whether you're applying for a job that seems challenging or starting a new project. The important thing is to remember that fear is a sign that you are growing. One tool that can help is creating daily affirmations. Yes, those positive phrases that, said every day, reprogram your mind. Something like, I am capable of achieving my goals, or I trust my work and my decisions. It may seem simple, but Brian Tracy reinforces that words have power. By repeating these affirmations, you condition your brain to focus on what is possible, not the barriers. And finally, it's worth remembering that trust is also reflected in the way you deal with others. Being confident does not mean being authoritarian, but rather creating a space for dialogue and respect. By showing that you believe in yourself, you also encourage those around you to believe in themselves. This creates an environment where progress becomes inevitable. And speaking of progress, the next step is to understand how to apply this confidence in everyday life to transform each area of your life. Confidence and a success mindset are not abstract concepts. They are practical tools that can be used in almost every area of your life. Think about a job interview, for example. While many arrive unsure and worried about the questions to come, those who carry confidence not only respond well, but also establish a connection with the interviewer. One simple trick that Brian Tracy always recommends is preparation. Before the interview, study the company, practice answers, and above all, visualize yourself being accepted for the position. When you prepare like this, there is no room for insecurity. You go in knowing it's a solution, not a problem. But it doesn't stop there. Imagine applying this principle to your finances. Many people feel intimidated when thinking about investments or controlling a budget. However, trust can change this perception. A practical example would be to start small, but with purpose. How about setting aside 10% of your monthly income for an emergency fund or to invest in something you understand, like shares in stable companies? Books like Rich Dad, Poor Dad by Robert Kiyosaki can be a great starting point. The point is, the more you understand and practice, the more confident you become, and the more your finances start to work in your favor. In personal relationships, trust is also a game changer. How many times have you found yourself avoiding difficult conversations because you didn't know how to express your feelings? Here, acting with confidence means believing that the truth is more important than momentary discomfort. An example would be to apologize sincerely when necessary or to praise someone without reservation. This creates deeper, authenticity-based connections. As Brian Tracy says, the quality of your relationships defines the quality of your life. Another practical area is time management. Being confident also means being in charge of your own schedule. Many people spend their day reacting to external demands, but the most successful people plan proactively. Try reserving the early hours of the morning for important tasks that require concentration. Productivity apps like Notion or Todoist can be great allies in structuring your priorities. When you control your time, you exude confidence and discipline, two qualities that open doors in any scenario. Now let's talk about something very common, dealing with criticism. How many times have you been discouraged by a negative comment? Having confidence in everyday life means knowing that not every other person's opinion deserves to be absorbed. Brian Tracy suggests that you view criticism as valuable feedback, but only when it comes from trustworthy sources. A practical example is to analyze a criticism objectively. Is it founded or is it just something emotional on the part of the person who made it? This filter helps preserve your energy and focus. Even in routine activities, such as taking care of your health, trust can be a guide. You might start a gym, but hesitate when you enter an environment full of experienced people. Instead, act like you belong there. Find a personal trainer or start with group classes to familiarize yourself. The important thing is to remember that everyone started somewhere. No one is born an expert. Small, consistent steps create big results, both physically and in self-confidence. And finally, remember that every practical choice is an opportunity to build your confidence. From the way you respond to a professional email to how you negotiate a contract or resolve a conflict, acting safely is a decision you can make every day. This, of course, requires discipline, but as Brian Tracy reinforces, discipline is the link between goals and achievements. And when you combine confidence with habit, the result is nothing short of transformative. Speaking of habits, how about exploring how it could be a driver for success? Habit is that invisible element that shapes our lives, whether we are aware of it or not. Imagine that each action repeated over the days is like a drop that, when falling in the same place, forms a stone. This is how the power of habit works, building or destroying. Brian Tracy always states that success is essentially the result of consistent habits, but how to create routines aligned with excellence. It starts with small changes. For example, if you want to be more productive, get into the habit of planning your day the night before. Something so simple can redefine your relationship with time. Contrary to what many people think, building new habits doesn't have to be a revolution. Think about someone who wants to start meditating but is intimidated by the idea of sitting still for 30 minutes. The solution? Start with 2 minutes a day. It seems little, but that's the secret. As Brian Tracy explains, small, consistent steps lead to extraordinary results. Little by little, the brain begins to associate that practice with something natural, and the 2-minute meditation can eventually turn into an hour of deep daily reflection. And habits are not just limited to what we do, but also to what we think. It is possible, for example, to develop the habit of thinking positively. Instead of focusing on problems, train your mind to look for solutions. Let's say you faced a difficult situation at work. Instead of complaining or giving up, ask yourself, what can I learn from this? Brian Tracy emphasizes that the habit of looking for learning in each situation is one of the keys to continuous growth. After all, the way you interpret challenges defines how you react to them. Another area where habits have a huge impact is on health. Think of someone who wants to lose weight or gain energy. Adopting the habit of walking 20 minutes a day may seem like a small effort, but over time, it can trigger a chain of positive changes. Nutrition begins to improve, sleep becomes more restorative, and suddenly, general well-being increases. Brian Tracy always reinforces that every healthy habit is like a brick that builds the foundation for a life of excellence. Now, of course, changing habits is not something that happens instantly. It requires intention, patience, and above all, consistency. One effective method is the 21-day rule. Try repeating an action for 21 consecutive days. Let's say you want to become more organized. Choose something simple like tidying your desk before bed. After 3 weeks, this becomes automatic. It's like Brian Tracy always says, you don't control your habits control you. And don't forget that habits have a cumulative effect. Small choices made daily lead to great results. A practical example is the habit of reading 10 pages of a good book a day. In a year, you will have read more than 3,600 pages, which is equivalent to about 12 high-quality books. Books like Goals by Brian Tracy himself or The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People by Stephen Covey can transform the way you approach life and challenges. The power of habit lies in its simplicity and depth. It's a tool that redefines who you are over time. And the most interesting thing is that your habits don't just affect you. They also inspire and impact those around them. When you choose to be consistent in your actions, you create an environment of collective progress. This brings us to a fascinating point: how what you do can influence others around you. Let's explore this next. Few things are as powerful as example. When you adopt habits of excellence and act with confidence, you are not only transforming your life, but also inspiring those around you. Brian Tracy always highlights that true leadership begins by example, not command. Think about a work team. A leader who arrives on time, keeps his promises, and treats everyone with respect sets a standard for others. This type of behavior creates a domino effect. Each positive action inspires another, and the entire environment begins to change. This impact is also evident in personal relationships. Imagine a family where someone decides to adopt healthier habits, such as cooking nutritious meals or engaging in physical activity. This person, without realizing it, ends up encouraging others to do the same. It's that old saying, change begins at home. Brian Tracy reinforces that silent leadership, one that does not depend on words but on attitudes, is the most effective. After all, people tend to imitate what they see, not what they hear. The impact of being an excellent role model is not limited to the immediate environment. Think, for example, of a community. When someone decides to organize a social project or voluntary action, the simple act of taking the initiative can inspire dozens, perhaps hundreds of people. Brian Tracy suggests that the secret to lasting impact is seeking to improve the world, even if it's just a little. Small gestures, like helping a neighbor or sharing valuable knowledge, create waves that go far beyond what we imagine. Another fascinating point is how the impact multiplies in the professional environment. Imagine an employee who always delivers excellent results and treats colleagues with empathy. It doesn't take long for him to be perceived as a reference, someone who raises the standards of the entire team. This effect, as Brian Tracy explains, is one of the most powerful ways to build a solid and successful career. When you stand out, you not only open doors for yourself, but you also create opportunities for others. And there is something deeply human about wanting to inspire people. Have you ever noticed how gratifying it is to hear that your actions motivated someone? This is one of the greatest rewards of living with purpose. For example, if you decided to start a new course or hobby and shared this experience on social media, you may have encouraged someone to do the same without even knowing it. Brian Tracy suggests that sharing your achievements, even small ones, is a way to plant seeds of change in the world. We cannot forget that to inspire others, it is essential to be authentic. No one is perfect, and pretending to be something you're not can have the opposite effect. Being vulnerable and sharing your challenges makes people connect with you on a deeper level. For example, if you are learning something new, like playing an instrument or being a business owner, show the mistakes and successes along the way. This humanizes your journey and makes the impact even more powerful. When you adopt the role of a positive example, you are creating a virtuous cycle. The people you inspire go on to inspire others, and so on. It's like a stone thrown into a lake. The ripples spread far beyond the starting point. And you know what's most interesting? This impact becomes a motivation to continue learning and growing. After all, there are no limits for those who seek to constantly improve themselves. Speaking of which, how about we dive into the importance of continuous learning? Continuous learning is the key that opens doors to endless growth. Brian Tracy often says that your mind is like a muscle. The more you use it, the stronger it gets. But unlike a muscle that gets tired, the mind is revitalized with each new piece of information, with each new skill. Adopting a learning mindset is like deciding that you will never stop growing, regardless of your age or position. And that starts with something simple: curiosity. Ask yourself, what can I learn today? This question, repeated daily, can completely transform your life. Imagine you want to improve your professional skills. A powerful way is to invest in books and courses. How about starting with classics like Goals by Brian Tracy or The Mindset by Carol Dweck? These materials are true manuals for those who want to expand horizons. But don't limit yourself to the theoretical. Applying what you learn is where the magic really happens. For example, if you are studying leadership, try taking on small responsibilities at work or starting a personal project that requires coordination. Learning is putting theory into practice. Another key aspect of continuous learning is recognizing your weaknesses. It seems contradictory, but admitting you don't know something is the first step to growth. Think of someone who has difficulty with technology, for example. Instead of avoiding the problem, this person may decide to learn the basics, such as using spreadsheets or creating presentations. There are platforms like YouTube or Udemy that offer quick and affordable courses. Brian Tracy always highlights that true learning comes from the humility of accepting that no one knows everything. The most interesting thing is that learning does not need to be formal. It can arise from conversations, experiences, or even mistakes. How many times have you learned more from a failure than from a success? Brian Tracy emphasizes that failure is one of the most effective teachers we can have. Therefore, view mistakes as opportunities to adjust the course. If something went wrong, ask yourself, what can I do differently next time? This mindset turns challenges into stepping stones to the next level. And we cannot ignore the impact of technology on learning. Today, we have access to an infinite amount of information at our fingertips. Applications like Duolingo, for example, allow you to learn a new language at your own pace. Platforms like Coursera or Khan Academy offer courses on practically any subject. The key is to use these tools intentionally. Set aside 30 minutes a day to learn something new and see how, in just a few months, you will have accumulated impressive knowledge. However, continuous learning is not just about accumulating information, but about developing skills that really make a difference. Consider, for example, communication. Being a good communicator is a skill that impacts all areas of your life, from work to personal relationships. How about practicing? One tip is to record yourself talking about a topic and then watch it, identifying areas for improvement. This simple yet effective practice can elevate your confidence and clarity when expressing yourself. Finally, remember that continuous learning is a journey, not a destination. No matter how far you get, there will always be something new to explore. And this never-ending quest for knowledge not only enriches your life, but also inspires others to do the same. After all, when you grow, the people around you grow with you. And now, with so much accumulated knowledge and skills, the next step is to use them to apply all of this in an integrated way. Shall we talk about this? Now that you know the powerful principles for acting like you're the best, the question remains: What are you going to do with this knowledge? You can choose to continue as you are or decide to transform your life starting today. After all, if you don't believe in your potential, who will? Adopting a success mindset is not just a change of attitude. It's a commitment to yourself. And believe me, the biggest obstacle between you and your dreams may be exactly this hesitation to take the first step. Think about everything we discussed. Confidence as a driver of transformation, habits that shape your excellence, the impact you make on others, and the importance of continuous learning. Now reflect. Which of these areas do you need to work on most? If you had to pick one stock to start right away, what would it be? If you're going to develop confidence, practice every day. If you're going to adopt new habits, choose a small but meaningful one. Remember, power is in constant actions. And don't be afraid to make mistakes. Error is not the end, but the beginning of learning. As Tracy always says, success is a learnable skill. So, what's stopping you from starting now? Close your eyes for a moment and visualize who you can become if you decide to act like your best. Imagine the doors that will open, the relationships that will blossom, and the impact you will have on other people's lives. But don't stop here. Continue this journey with me. Subscribe to the channel, turn on notifications, and follow more content that will help you reach the next level. Transformation doesn't happen all at once, but with every decision you make daily. And I'm here to guide you every step of the way. So, are you ready to change your life? The journey begins now.